You're listening to the Holistic Nootropics Podcast, your home for holistic, evidence-based cognitive enhancement strategies. And now your host, Eric Levi.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Holistic Nootropics Podcast, where we discuss using nootropics, biohacking, and nutrition to help you boost your cognition. My name is Eric, and we got an awesome show lined up here for you today. Before we jump into the show, just a quick reminder, if you are new to the podcast and you enjoy what you're hearing so far, I mean, we've hit the intro so hard. How can you not love what you're hearing? Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And as the podcast goes along, feel free to head on over to Apple Podcasts, leave the podcast a 5-star review, because that helps us grow, get this information, this crucial information we're getting out to you people, out to more and more people, because we got to play the algorithms. The lizard people over at Apple, they kind of like to hear back from the people with their feedback, with the stars and the reviews and all this stuff. So we got to let them know, hey, we're hitting it for you. We're giving you good value. So leave us a nice review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then leave a comment below and I will do my best to respond to all of those. And just a side note, if you are someone who is looking for the best quality supplements and nootropics on the market today, then head on over to holisticnootropics.com and download a copy of my free supplement buying guide. This is a fully comprehensive buying guide that will walk you through ingredient by ingredient on how to find the best quality supplements on the market today. Because as my guest Steve today knows, there is a lot of junk on the market. Most of the things people are taking are literally getting flushed down the toilet. $100 billion industry, that is the supplement industry, and most of it is absolute hot garbage. So what I've done is I put together a guide for you to use when you go shopping for supplements. And in fact, our guest today has some pretty killer pure supplements that he'll talk about as the podcast goes on. But I don't push any supplements. I don't promote any supplements. This is just for you to use to find your way to the best products so you can build your body, build your mind, build your life. And with that,
that's why I gave you a 5-star. Brother, that is so incredible what you're up to. Like a catalyst for good for mankind. I love what you're about.
I appreciate that, man.
5-star review. I'm going to write a review this weekend. It's in my book. Believe it, it's in my book. It's been crazy.
This is I can tell this could be the best review because I've never had a review audibly said to me. I can only read them on Apple Podcasts, but you just audibly told me the review. That's what I'm talking about.
It's a lot of work to do what you're doing, brother. It's a lot of work to do what you're doing. And,
isn't it?
Well, and I don't use this word very often. This word's like near and dear to my heart, purity. That's what I love about you. You got a pure spirit and you are a trailblazer and a pioneer for good. And so when someone's so willing to be a resource for people, I mean, I got sick. I got sick by trusting experts, and it didn't sustain my age as I got older. And wow, like you're the real deal, brother.
I appreciate that, man. That's what I try to be, just the real deal, because there's people out there doing all kinds of really cool things. And I want to bring these voices out. And, there's a lot of people listening to this podcast or watching this podcast who are probably going through what you went through early on in your journey and are struggling to find the right things, or struggling to find the right path, or just struggling in life. And, one of my favorite quotes actually is from Tony Robbins. This isn't the exact quote, but the idea is basically like, in life, to really genuinely change your life, sometimes you just need like a 1 millimeter adjustment, because if you take a boat on the ocean and it's on a journey like from Europe to America back in the day, if those old sailors, man, if they just went 1 millimeter off course, and then you compound that over thousands of miles, if you're going for like, let's say, Cape Cod, you could end up in Puerto Rico. You could end up in South America. You could end up somewhere totally different. So in life, we don't have to make these giant changes. Sometimes it just takes like one little nugget, one little thing, and you do that and you keep it simple, and you're in a complete. So that's what I'm about. That's what I like to do.
Let's play with that, right? So I'm going to throw a curveball. How many of you have really downloaded that ebook? He said a shift. And sometimes it's easier than you think. Like, so wrong thinking would be, oh, I'm just going to continue, or I heard it, but I'm not really listening. I heard it and I'm continuing to buy these products that aren't working. And like, you've got a resource that guides you, like download it. That's where I think it becomes interesting when people aren't really looking at their choices from the past brought them to where they are today, and the decisions they make today will affect their tomorrow. Why do we have to keep going through reoccurring tests in life instead of what is the real shift that happens in the mind? First in thought, then in form. Where the mind goes, the man or woman follows. And what I love about Tony, I've seen him 38 times, been in his groups, his programs. He talks about that reoccurring story we have in our mind that we make true. We make it our true compass, our true north compass. And the only way to shift our story is to change our strategy. And the thing that we want, we're seeing in other people. We see these people that are in these states where they're manifesting something that we want. It could be a variety of many things in this equation, this conversation, this health. And we see that, and we either aspire for what they have or we envy what they have. Both mean the same thing. One's healthy and one's not. But the only way to shift your story is to change your strategy. And that means you get out of, I know what I know what I don't know, and you get into the realm of, I don't know what I don't know. And then when we get into that realm of, I don't know what I don't know, we have this guide, whether you call it Jesus, you call it God, you call it universe, you call it your soul, you call it your higher self. And when you get that voice to a point where you are, or you get to that state where you're slowing down to listen intuitively, it is magic. It is like Mary Poppins, man. You are just being guided in this direction. And it's like all the hosts of heaven show up, and all these ideal people, situation, resources, miracles are happening every day. They show up in my YouTube feed. I'm like, what the heck is this video doing here? And all of a sudden, I thought this thought, or I prayed this affirmation. And all of a sudden, the thing that I want is coming to me. Download that doc, download that manual, a great place to start.
That's what I'm talking about. Steve, that is the truer words have never been spoken on this podcast. And obviously you are a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of inspiration, and you have a very interesting story yourself because you've been down this road. You've made these adjustments, you've made these changes, and you've been there, you've done that. And I think your story is incredibly relatable, which is why I have you on the podcast today. So I'd love for you to talk about, how you went from being this, this Mr. Oregon, this big bodybuilder into what you've become today.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, and we all have a story. I mean, for me, for the last 3 years, people have said you model ideal health, mentally, physically, spiritually. What a gift to hear that. And just saying, right now, the thought that I'm having is modeling is the greatest gift we have. We don't have to fix people. We don't have to manipulate people. We don't have to control people. We don't have to enable people. The greatest version of you becomes a gift to humanity. And you're just doing your thing. And you're doing your thing. You're following your true north. Well, everything that I had done for, since I've been 27, making a decision, I was going to go from, I hate my body to I want to be in just ideal shape. I thought was ideal. And I ended up hiring these experts through my journey. And I just got used to what I thought was ideal, these radical meal plans, these supplements filled with toxins. And I had no signs leading up to what I call my condition. It was an illness, definitely, but meaning condition, think about that thought, right? I believe we can reverse any health condition. And I remember being with my son, 12 years old. I'm at this vegan restaurant, and all of a sudden I'm just extremely bloated. And I stood up, I raised my shirt, and my 12-year-old like, dude, what happened to your abs? And I'm like, Quinn, I don't know. I don't feel right. Like, I think I need to go into urgent care. And he's like, really? And so I didn't. And I reached out to my doctor, and I went in and got some blood work back, and all my blood panels looked extraordinarily good. And I'm like, what the hell is going on with me? There's something wrong. And the good news is his mom, who's my partner in Body Temple and my entrepreneur brand that I'm actually transitioning out of, had been on this 2-year journey of healing herself from 3rd stage cancer, no chemo, no radiation, no surgery. But I was so caught up in, is she going to die? Because it was so foreign to me. I was like, is she going to leave our son? That I had a judgment around it until I ended up getting sick. And Lynn was following the philosophy and the practices of, it's called the Hippocrates Health Institute in Southern Florida. So she just was on this 100% plant-based, all vegetation. I mean, even wheatgrass enemas, just doing all these just things to heal herself. And she's beyond an expert. I mean, she's not, my son and I always talk about, she's not just the same person. Like those of you that have never followed Joe Dispenza. He's a great role model, and he's all about everything starts in the mind. And he's done these massive case studies, man, about people that healed themselves. And since I'm here, I'll just tell you the story that he saw 3 commonalities in these 50,000 people that were in these case studies that all came from all these different backgrounds. First of all, they believed a creator wanted them to live. Second, they became unknown to the people around them. They knew them, but they weren't the same person. And third, they spent this time in meditation, and not what we would call elementary meditation. Elementary meditation is like what you might do to quiet your mind. But the thing that you love to do, you lose time in it. If you love to rap, that's like meditation. And so I just started following her path, and she introduced me to these naturopaths that were just disguised as, they were naturopaths, but they were healers. And the immune condition that I ended up developing was this extreme case of candida. I could not get rid of it. It was all this bad bacteria had grown in my body. And I was constantly, I was rocking life. So, I needed my mind. So every 4th day I'm getting colonics. Like I'm just preventing whatever I can and then going down this pathway. And it took me 18 months to heal. I wanted to say that 14% of you walking around with parasites, it's just like unknown in some of these blood panels that these doctors do. Like you have to get this, these naturopaths that understand that. And parasites can just destroy you. Some can actually activate cancer cells. Why aren't anybody talking about that, man?
Yeah, I agree. And for me, the gut is where it all begins.
Dude,
and
it does. It does. It is the creator created. It's in the middle of our body. Like even when you start studying like Crohn's disease and colitis, like it's crazy how it will just like change the whole the microbiome, these layers of our gut. Like it's just crazy. But you heal your gut, you heal your mind. It's like the engine. It's the engine of the mind, or the engine of the body.
And I think it's interesting that ancestrally they knew this. There was something about it, and it might be that it was like the most kind of tangible thing. You didn't need technology to know that your gut was messed up in the 1700s. Like Darwin himself had a devastating gut issue. He knew it. He was like, my gut is destroyed. It was sick. Like he could have written The Origin of Species much sooner, but he had this devastating gut issue. I mean, all of the famous, 19th century writers, they had gut issues. Into the 20th century, they had gut issues. And then, what happened was cancer and heart disease started really overtaking that because it became such a prevalent issue throughout the 20th century. And so, but Hippocrates knew this. That's why he said all health begins in the gut. They knew that the gut had something. They didn't know about fungus and parasites. They didn't know about bacteria. They didn't know the 10-to-1 bacteria to human cell ratio. They didn't know about the enteric nervous system. They just knew that when people got sick, it always started with a gut thing. And, it's as simple as looking at your poop and knowing something's off with your poop. Are you vomiting? Are you constipated? Are you dizzy? That has something to do with the gut. Like there's something to this. And it's so crazy that it's taken really this ancestral health movement, not to drive the conversation, but at least to bring it to light for a lot of people. And you're right. Naturopaths are the ones who are running the stool tests, who are running the GI examinations. And I don't think most of them are getting it right, to be honest with you, but I think I think that they're at least on the forefront of saying, hey, why does fungus matter? Why does bacteria
it's like
matter?
A pond, man. I mean, I moved into this beautiful home and we couldn't quite get the water alkaline level, in the pond. And I remember just thinking how relative that is to our gut. And just circling back, I just want to say, you guys are in the right place. Like, wow, what you just said, like you can tell You're an expert. You studied it. And what I loved about what you said that I've never heard before, Eric, is that it doesn't have to be complicated. We make it complicated. My protocol is not complicated. When people even talk about the food shortage, I mean, Eric's looking at my sprouts right back here, like some tray of sprouts.
Good looking sprouts.
I do. And it's like, I could live on sprouts alone. Even those of you that are like bodybuilders want to look good, like that's how I got to my internal world, was first starting with external. But, you know, for me, it's not how I look, even though I feel great. And I know that people are constantly approaching me in a sauna, like, you're so lean. How old are you? I'm 57. And they're like, dude, like, wow. But I do it for my mind. I do it for my mind. But when it comes down to it, if you and I are having a conversation at an airport and you and I are talking about health and you said, I'm getting ready to board, can you give me some advice? And I'm like, yeah, go green, man. Just go green. Just like focus on green. Second, detox and sweat. I'm in the sauna 5 days a week. I'm in Bikram yoga 2 days a week. I sometimes even do sauna the second time. If I got to have like a 15-hour day, I got 3 or 4 hours of like work. It just like de-stresses me. It gets me in this, you know, homeostasis place. Third, eliminate the effing sugar. There's like 68 bar-coded ingredients with sugar. It's not in the produce department. You know, unless you're really, really sick and you got to go narrow, then you get rid of the bananas, man. You just like get rid of the fruit for a while, but it's not really that complicated. So we're just trained and manipulated in the especially Western part of the world through the pharmaceutical movement, FDA, even media, restaurants. Like, you damn well get to eat what you want because you had a hard damn day. I deserve those 3 cocktails, so I deserve it, right? But you're going to pay a price down the line, and you want to look at longevity. You want to think about the decisions you're making today, and are they going to sustain you in the future? Because your health doesn't just affect you. Your health affects your wives, your spouses, your kids, your career. And if you get wrapped up in that whole program, the whole medical, my God, it can break you.
Yeah. And it does. It breaks a lot of people. And, you know, you're talking about some diet specific stuff, you know, sugar is an interesting one. And, you know, people do this thing. They're like, I want to get healthy. What do I do? And you're talking about, like, if I had one piece of advice, you're getting on a plane, I have one thing to tell you, like kind of like an elevator pitch. I think that's interesting. And I would even take it one step further and even simplify it one step easier. And I'd say, when you go to the grocery store, avoid everything in the middle of the grocery store. Stick to the perimeter. Don't look down the aisles. There's nothing good there. There's bread, there's sugar, preservatives, corn oil, you know, I mean, the cleaning products are right next to the baked goods, you know what I mean? And they're basically have the same ingredients. So like, you know, right. If you stick to the perimeter, and it's like, you don't have to commit yourself to a diet, you know, this whole calorie counting thing, you know, I like your thing, stay green. I have issues with green, but at the same time, I think it's a good place to start. You know, fruits, vegetables, meats, cheeses, you know, like the simple stuff, you know, you don't have to go keto. You don't got to go vegan. You don't got to go paleo. Just
all of these old models that are they're just schemes, man.
Just get the food in you that's going to nourish your body, that comes from the earth in some way, shape, or form, whether it's from a plant or an animal, and it doesn't come from a factory.
Yeah, brother, that's right. And since we're on that subject, it's like, yeah, a lot of my completely vegan friends, or I'll say connections that I have, you know, especially even through Hippocrates, they're not necessarily about animal fat, but when you study blood, like that third doctor, I'll say he was a mad scientist, man. He wrapped it up for me. And I remember he just said, your body's done with carbs. Like, you're actually, if you eat great organic chicken, fish, that's another conversation. But he's like, your body's going to absorb it. And he was absolutely right. So yeah, there's many, many different variables, but when it comes down to it, it's pretty damn simple when you start to focus on it. In fact, like Eric, we're really a philanthropic movement. That's where we started. Yes, we have coaching programs, all sorts of things, but Lynn created the most amazing ebook called Body Temple Shopping Guide. And it's all part of this free gift that we're offering you. It's totally all about detoxing, kickstart program. It's called the 15-day Kickstart Detox Plan. It's right in the show notes, bodytemplekickstart.com. But you can get that ebook. And it's just a guide. I think people, confused mind says no, right? And that's what I've realized. People really need to start off with some guidance.
Tell me about this guide. What is in this guide?
Oh, it's just loaded with links leading you to everything that Lynn just 100% believes. And a lot of it came from Hippocrates, and she talks about barcodes. But see, going back to what Eric said, everybody, he simplified that whole process. I have one word that is like the highest elevated word in my life, the attribute that I want to focus on, and that's vitality. I'm not interested in being here if I'm sick. I'm not interested in the duration, being here as long as I possibly can. I'm out if I'm not healthy. Vitality is everything. It's what gets me up in the morning. It's why I love Betty White. I loved Betty White, joy, hope, just constantly in this state of happiness, right? And what a lot of people don't talk about with the gut that really was my curveball is depression and anxiety. Now, I've never had really a lot of depression, maybe occasionally, but a ton of anxiety, especially how I was raised. I mean, I was raised to bust my ass and follow through and show up and self-sacrifice. And, so I've been, gotten over that, and no, I'm a real healthy empath, but now in my day, just overgiving. But wow, when I got sick, I knew that all these supplements I was taking had chemicals in them. These radical meal plans that these experts were guiding me to, that I was spending some pretty damn good money. And granted, they were like, naturopaths that worked with bodybuilders, but they don't sustain our age. Yeah, if you're younger, you got a new vehicle, you can run the shit out of it, but it won't sustain you as you get older. What I didn't know, that I claimed 30% of my, I'll say, condition, celiac, it was just like overgrown candida, is depression and anxiety. And it's directly related to the gut. And those of you that are parents, when your child says, "Mommy, my tummy hurts," it really means I don't know how to deal with this internal dialogue and thinking and anxiety. And it's directly related to the gut. When I decided to do the bodybuilding show, Eric, I was 44 years old. And it really wasn't something I really wanted to do at first. It was like my friend just saying, "You are just in great shape, man. Why don't you do a fitness show?" And, some of them had done fitness shows. And so I just made the decision, you know what? I've always had a busy life. I'm going to go ahead and move towards this with the intent to be in the greatest health of my life, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, and physically. But what I didn't realize, being a coach, a mindset coach, that had worked with entrepreneurs for years, that it was the only thing in my life that no one had control over. And I thought, why is my joy so elevated during these 16 weeks of competing for my first show? Because I made it a non-negotiable. I didn't let anything get in the way. Nobody told me whether I got in a cardio machine, what I ate, whether I meditated, whether I practiced posing. And it was like, I realized it was the first time in my life that a spouse or a client or a team member or a relative had access to any decision that they had access to every decision I made, and they could change the direction of my path. And I thought, God, that's what I loved about it. So listen to me, all of you. And the great thing about health is that you have 100% control. And what is so ironic is that when you have when your health starts to improve or is restored or is that record breaker high, like I closed so much business during those 16 weeks before both my shows, because I was so clear, so in this place of service. People were just saying like, wow, like coaching was amazing. Seminars were amazing. And I just remember, I felt so good. But what I didn't know is this plan that I was on, $833 a month, like dummy, of supplements with stimulants in them. I didn't get it I'm just like following these experts. I didn't know that 92% of the supplements in the market had chemicals in them. I didn't know these radical meal plans could destroy your gallbladder, your liver. Like, I didn't know any of that. And then I remember thinking, dude, you're like, so not checking out your sources. It's this big deal. It's crazy.
Wow. That's such a, first of all, the fact that you competed at 44 after never competing before, that's pretty awesome.
I won all of them. I can't believe I won overall. It was pretty ironic because it wasn't really what I was focused on, which I'm glad that I did, like focused on a different goal than winning. And even that, everybody, you can't control an external thing. You can control a thought, even that's difficult, a choice, a disposition, an attitude, and your external reality all comes from your internal dialogue.
Mm-hmm. So before you got into the competing, you said, you were in good shape. What were you doing before that, before you jumped on these meal plans? What was your lifestyle like, before you jumped on these extreme diets?
Eating a hell of a lot of chicken and beef. And, I'd always been a pretty lean person, and I definitely was on a cardio machine. I never got in a sauna. I only sweat internally. And since we're here, we sweat three ways: internally, which is driven by you, like cardio; externally, which would be like a sauna or like a charger bath with magnesium, hot water, essential oil. Probably the best ingredient is food grade peroxide, which is oxidate your body. And then yoga, Bikram yoga, which is my favorite, is both. But what's ironic? You're talking about the balance of the gut. I never ate produce. The same woman that is Lynn that completely healed herself. By the way, her message in that 43-minute Kickstart Detox video is magic. Like, there was no editing. She was so in the zone. Like, everybody is like, wow. And if you think I'm halfway decent, she's way over the top. But she knows it, like inside and out. So ironically, she'd never, ever made meals. So I was always going out, getting the same thing: teriyaki chicken, teriyaki beef, white rice, which is sugar basically, and like ice, berg lettuce. But now it's all my body wants. So, balance just seems to happen in nature, and our bodies, our physiology, our nature, right?
Absolutely. And, one thing I've kind of come to respect over the last few years, especially, is like, I hate this term intuitive eating because it's just been like, just bastardized by like these like, Instagram health people. But I love the idea of it. Not to like say, not to a point where it's like, well, I want to eat, I want to eat a bag of popcorn. So I'm eating a bag of popcorn, but more like, how does your body feel when you eat fruit and vegetables? Do you feel better or do you feel worse? How do you feel after you eat red meat? How do you feel after you eat a steak? Some people feel amazing and some people feel like crap. This is why this whole diet culture is so ridiculous, because you can't tell people what they need to eat. Like, we all have a specific epigenome that reacts to certain specific nutrients in certain specific ways. Right. Like, I don't know where your family's from. My family's Eastern European. So there's a whole like hundreds of years and probably thousands of years before that my family was wandering around East Europe and Italy and these places, and they were eating these foods, not spaghetti and meatballs, but whatever they had back then. And it evolved into whatever is in my DNA today. And now my body says, oh, hey, wow, that's what we like. Like, that's what we do well with. And all of this stuff that they're like, wheat bread, you don't give me a piece of wheat bread. Like, I'm going to throw it up. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's going to give me diarrhea. It just doesn't work. Nobody in my family had wheat bread and sustained a good life off of it, but some people, it's like, bread is where they come from. If you're French, if you're Italian,
I get it. Like, I have, what blows me away is that I get it. I have friends that say, you know what? I just listen to what my body wants. And I want to go, your arms are skinny. Yeah. Your legs are skinny, right? And you've got this big round waist. And that was like, we've healed thousands of people from autoimmune. I'm going to say we've guided thousands of people from Autoimmune. And it is, what I find interesting is we'll talk about mindset. We just definitely want to talk about mindset, because these triggers and these serotonin and dopamine in the body, how it just yells. Like when you have candida, your body is screaming. I mean, I was 220 and about 7% body fat. It went 2 years after that when I got sick. And I got to tell you, I went 12 weeks eating grapefruit. That was the first protocol. Mm-hmm. That's it. I got down to 170. I was so skinny. But that was the protocol. That's what they said to do. And man, it was painful. I would not have anything in my house that would remotely tempt me. But what I'm going back to is what you just said. Like when a client has an outcome and they're not losing weight in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, because here's the thing about supplements, just going back, I'm sorry, I'm all around the board, but I'm just having these downloads. A supplement is not even worth buying if you're not going to partner with it, because there's two pathways. And this is what we teach: the choices you make and the supplements or the treatments that you do. So they're helping you, but you got to couple with it. You got to partner with it. You can't be taking these supplements and think you can have your bottle of wine every night,
right,
and eat all this sugar, and you're gonna and the supplement's gonna fix you. No, it doesn't work that way. You'll get about 100% momentum on the supplement if you're partnering with it. But that's the thing. I think, when I think about my two favorite questions, Eric, man, you're great, dude. Like you just. I that's what I loved about your interviews, man. You just seems like you pull stuff out of your interviewee. But there's the two favorite questions I ask people. The second favorite question I ask everybody is, tell me about your ideal health in 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years. And they go on a rampage. Like, tell me more. What else? What would you feel like? What would you look like? What would you notice? And then my favorite question is, what don't you want to deal with? Let's say you reach out to me in 3 years and you've gotten a death sentence. You've got a certain amount of time to live, or you've got this disease. What would be the worst scenario? That's the question of the day. Because vision is easy. Desire, we have desire, and then we visualize our ideal outcome. And then the intent is the worldly part. The intent is yours to own, the choices that you make. But at the end of the day, what I've noticed is that question gets people to think. And then I walk the plank with them. What would it be like? What would life be like with that? What would be different about your marriage? What would be different about your finances? Could you have a career? Would you, who wants to deal with something like that? And that's where sometimes we train the brain, because we realize, I don't want to go down this path anymore. Mm-hmm. It's affecting me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what is, in your opinion, if you work with a lot of people with autoimmunity, and you've dealt with autoimmunity yourself, mm-hmm. What is like the through line in the behavior? What is like underlying all of that, and I'm not saying like, hey, we're going to victim shame or anything like that. I know people are doing the best they can, or I can only assume they're doing the best they can, but we have busy lives, things. I didn't realize this until I had a kid, I got a kid now, and all of a sudden it's like, all that free time is like a kidless person, like where I could just be like, red light therapy and, time to myself and journaling. Like it goes away. Now it's like, okay, I have 10 minutes a day to do like the best workout I can. And then it's back to getting this kid a bottle or holding them, whatever. So like, for people who are out there and they're like, man, I'm suffering, dude. Like I'm working 40, 50, I got to be with my wife. I got a new kid. I got this and that. Like, but then my health's falling apart at the same time. Like where are you taking these people? What is like the thing that you try to get them to do to help them the most?
First of all, you need to be coaching people. Are you coaching people?
Not officially.
Dude, you got it going. Like, wow, I'm just having a vibe for you. That's like my gift, just seeing vision for other people. Anyway, amazing. I have realized that people need a plan. Our mantra is, first of all, make a decision. You're ready for change. I had a brother 13 months younger than me that became an addict. He lost his child 8 months old. It was horrific. And he became an addict. And so I started to study 12-step and helped him through that process. And what I loved about it is I am sick and tired of being sick and tired of this. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired of this. We sometimes have to get to a point where we're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Make a decision, ready for change. Second, we must create our ideal customized well plan. So, listen to Eric, like where he's really been in this conversation is that not all fits all. These old models that are like Weight Watchers, and I don't want to throw out any names that are just like one fits all is bullshit. It's all customization. And so this template that we have, that's quite extreme. God, what do I mean by that? That's not the word. It's thorough. Like from water source to food source to beverage to meditation to even fun and recreation. When you have more joy, you will not believe what you're able to manifest, and a clear mind. Third, we have to shift our poor habits to ideal habits and notice our triggers. Everyone that has tried other things have said that's been the greatest part of this program. So I was an entrepreneur coach, phasing out of that for 20 years, and they would hire us to build these thriving companies or organizations just to realize, oh, my marriage got better. Oh, my health got better. Oh, my fun and recreation got better, because it's all inclusive. How we show up in one area of our life, we show up in others. And then I'm a resource guy. So what worked in that entrepreneur brand, for example, is I never told them what to do. I found out what they wanted, and I had over 100 curriculums transcribed and audios. They do the homework, come back, we'd figure it out, and then I would help them monitor it until they manifested it. And so this is why we've spent so much time creating all this content. Our 12-week Take Charge of Your Health, Body, and Mindset program. It's a libraries of the Kickstart manual. I mean, that damn thing took us 8 months. I couldn't believe how long it took. And the reason for that is we didn't want it to feel complicated to people. And so the essence of all of this is you have to enjoy the journey and stay in process. And you can't judge yourself. You got to just like stay on it. But when people have a plan and they have guidance and they realize, you're going to go through some valleys, and we train them through affirmation, which happens in their hub. What is that? Nobody gets my effing morning but me and my creator. Never. Like, even if it's 5:30 a.m. and I've got 20 minutes, and granted, I got a reserve. What does that mean? We all have 4 commonalities: relational, physical, spiritual, and financial, career. And when you train your brain where you're headed, your brain, that frontal lobe of your brain takes flight. Excuse me. I don't want to use that word, because the primal brain is flight and fight, like animals. You train your brain how to think. So not only are you activating the law of attraction, the manifestation, you're believing it into fruition. And so those like 2 affirmations, the general ones that we have is enjoy the journey, stay in process, knowing I will arrive at my ideal location, outcome. When I got off track, I bless, release, and recommit. If that's in your mind, you're like, oh, had a bad night, went way off track, I'm done. It's the past, present, let's do this. So yeah, that's, part of the process that we take people through. And the best way to just get started is to get that 100% complimentary program, bodytemplatekickstart.com. I know Eric will have that in a clickable link in the show notes. And we created that to help people completely restore their health. And that's
awesome. And, it's interesting, like this whole channel is built off of like a mind body connection, right? Holistic nootropics. I say this, maybe I'm giving away the secret sauce, but the idea of nootropics, I don't know if you take nootropics, if you're familiar with nootropics, basically brain supplements, brain vitamins.
I want everybody to hear about it that maybe is listening to your show for the first time, because damn well know I'm sending this to 70,000 people. and promoting your show. It's amazing. Go there. I want everybody to hear this.
So the idea is that, this whole idea of biohacking and this whole idea of brain hacking, it's very interesting to me. It's very 2020s, it's very like, and the problem with it is, though, there's no barrier to entry. Everybody just says, well, I'm going to be a brain hacker and I'm going to get nootropics. And then what they do is they do the thing that you did while you were bodybuilding, which is they spend $800 a month on nootropics. And what they've done is they've taken the thing that buried them in a hole, which is the pharmaceutical mindset of just take as much as you can of a thing and wait for it to work, versus being strategic, versus like focusing on your whole essence, your whole mind-body relationship. And what they do is they bury themselves even more. And so nootropics are interesting to me because it's like, yeah, there's supplements that can boost the power of your brain. There's supplements that can give you better focus. There's supplements that can improve your memory. There's supplements that can give you better mood. There's supplements that can literally grow BDNF, more brain, right? Brain-derived neurotropic factor. But that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. That doesn't mean you're going to get that benefit. I say all the time, like, you could go to a GNC, you can go to a health food store, you can go on Amazon, and you could buy one of everything. You could drop your credit card down and spend $1,000 because every single supplement on Amazon has a benefit. But if you do that, I guarantee you're going to see not only zero benefits, you're going to see some serious pain. And that's because the body has these, what do you call it? Like these limiting factors, right? That don't let you do that. So a lot of times these people are getting into nootropics and they have an $800 a month nootropic habit when in fact they need one thing and they need to spend $800 on all the other stuff in their life, which is like their gut health, their, getting more sleep, getting better, like focus on what you want to do with like what makes you happy, joy in your life. Right. So my point is that when if we're going to say like, what is like a thing, because I love the idea of like motivation and that stuff, but I'm saying like, what is the thing I can do that will fix me today? When you put yourself out of that fight or flight thing, when you stop creating anxiety and worry so much in your life, and you literally sit down for a meal, because people are eating stressed out and very anxious and very worried. They're
chewing their food. That's even part. That's this like
not
that's
chewing the
one
food.
small part of it. Like just even chewing your food, your water source. Some of you are buying water that comes in these plastic bottles that are imported from China that are sitting in this effing, space. That's not the word, for a year.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I can't afford a water unit. Well, go to natural grocers or go to some of them have these incredible purified water machines that you can fill it up. And yeah, great. Glass is best, but that thick lucite is a hell of a lot better than the plastic that you're getting from China and drinking the water that's been sitting in the warehouse for a year. Right.
Yeah.
I love what you're about, man. You just really get people to think. And hey, have you checked out our supplements? Have you looked at our ingredients on the back?
Yeah, I haven't seen your ingredients, but I do know you have some pretty interesting stuff there. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, the reason I'm just saying that is like, I hardly take any supplements. Like, I mean, I want to be careful here, but I'm going to say that I'm not vaccinated. I don't believe that answer is right for everybody. And there's certain people that have there are friends of mine that work from the airlines. I'm thinking of my good friend, Diana, that was like, damn, I'm going to get fired. I can't keep my job. And I just said, really, if you're pumping up your immune system, great, plan B. But at the end of the day, I haven't got COVID. And what do? I just do I'm pretty much just eating clean, and I only take 100% chemical-free product. That's just my non-negotiable. And there are hardly any out there, like less than 1%. And so I went to find a formulator. I wanted to know where it's grown. I wanted to know the soil source. I wanted to know everything about it. I wanted to know the capsules. Like, I am only going to take a chemical-free product. And I remember in the beginning, I got it in plastic bags. I would order it and he would just he helped me. And then after a while, it was like, I'm going to create this product that is completely chemical-free. And even he dealing with companies that didn't want to pay that high expense. But like once a month, I go to my naturopath and spend $82 on a like revved up nutrient drip. Like it's just full of, and he looks at my blood work, he accesses that. Like it's just better than me even taking any supplements. And some of you are taking supplements that your body will not digest. And you need to be taking them like sublingually, at least, or getting it through through an IV. And so I spent so much less, and I just basically take 3 products, and that's all I wanted. I wanted to be known for gut health. And I know when people check out, like experts check out this Restore product right here, they're just cannot believe the ingredients, and it's 100% chemical free. I've had clients that people have called me that can't even go outside because they can't even be around perfume. They had to work from home. They were so sick and they could not take a supplement. I remember thinking in the beginning, calling my formulator, "Are you 100% sure?" And he's like, "Yes." And they can take this product. So I wanted a purified detox cleanse. I wanted, and even at that, I'm laughing because I traveled during my illness. And I remember taking these just severe gut detox. I remember being at the airport, looking at the person behind me. I'm in a suit, getting ready to fly into Pennsylvania. And I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. And I ran to the toilet. And like, what I can tell you is that it's just this maintenance thing. I can't even believe what comes out of my rear end in the toilet. I don't even eat that much, but it's like, what I'm getting at is like, it gets rid of all the waste. And then the digestive enzymes. And then I wanted a probiotic that was over the top. By the way, when you opt into the Kickstart Detox plan, you'll notice below the video, we have a 25% off program, 100% money back guarantee, the whole bit. But, and all the ingredients are there, and that's kind of part of the whole plan, is that the first pathway is the choices you make. So that's the most important part. And then in a detox, the other path is, what am I taking? And even just to start off with the Purify Gut Detox formula, I don't know what it's like not to be on that product. It's been 10 years now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the products right now, it's very focused on, you got digestive enzymes, which, again, I'm not one to recommend products to like supplements to people, again, everybody, but I'd say if you're going to take like one thing, make it be some kind of digestive support product, whether it's enzymes or HCl or pepsin or something. I found a really good one I like too. I'd be interested to try yours as well. But anything that just helps you digest food, because again, like we're talking,
all starts there, right?
It all starts there. And we're talking like, well, so many people, it's not just that their guts are messed up, it's that they're not actually absorbing nutrition from the food, if they're getting any nutrition in the food to begin with. Like there's so many people who are doing vegetarian, plant-based diets that are taking in a lot of nutrient dense food, but they're not getting it because their guts are so jacked that the food actually irritates the gut more than it actually helps, because they just have spent years just driving their digestion into the ground. So like, if you're going to start somewhere, like mindset's great, getting up and feeling motivated is great, but really at the end of the day, like you need to digest food. You need to get food like getting broken down in your stomach, and your body be able to deliver those nutrients to your brain, to your muscles, to your blood, to your organs, so that your body can work optimally. And and this is what I was getting to earlier, which is once all of your organs, once your body starts working optimally, your brain is going to start getting the neurotransmitters that come as a result of that. And that's the ultimate nootropic at the end of the day.
God, you're educated. Yeah. And that's why when I think of I didn't really answer this question earlier, Eric, but we were talking about the process. When I know someone is very sick and it shows in their blood work, or the grace period where the panels are looking average or close, they need to go narrow. And I'm like, drink your food. I know I could live just on this nutrient smoothie that we have. And by the way, we have community online with so many complimentary resources. That file section is loaded, like the green nutrient smoothie that I drank. I'm intermittent fasting, 7:30 meal. And then 1 o'clock the next day, first meal. But really, I'm drinking, 25 ounces of this nutrient green smoothie. Even people that have diverticulitis, the seeds in that are like amazing, but they're not really seeds anymore because you grind them in coffee and they're like a grinder. And then before you put them in there, and they're in the refrigerator because they're activated, and then they're just like powder. And so I know that I could live on that nutrient smoothie, that green nutrient smoothie. So yeah, there's just a lot of different variables, and it all comes back to customization. Jump into Facebook, search Body Temple Community, and after you're approved, just go to the More button, click on File, and you'll see my Miracle Morning ritual. It's all lined up, and then we show you how to create your own. Once you do it, after a while, you just start noticing everything in your life gets better because you've got a still small voice guiding you, whatever you want to call it. And it's like miracles will happen. I can't even tell you the things that show up in my world because I expect it and I ask and it's delivered. I'm personally always constantly saying, thank you, God. Even last night, I had just so much going on and I stayed up way too late. And I said, what was those 2 thoughts I had, God? Whatever you want to call it. And boom, the answer's right there. You can live in an elevated state of consciousness. And when you do, the rhythm of life just happens. All the hosts of heaven show up, all the ideal people, situations. Love what you're about, dude.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate that. This has been a lot of fun. And let's wrap it up. Let's tell people where to go learn more about you. You've dropped some links. We'll have those links in the show notes. But just for people who are driving, people who are walking their dog, who are listening, where can they go? Where's some good places for them to go find more about you?
Yeah, so we definitely have a site, bodytemplelloc.com, but that's not where I want you to start because those of you that go and buy product there, you pay 25% more. And those of you that go and check it out, like I'm a person that likes to elevate or focus a client. I'd start with the Kickstart Detox Plan. And it's just a 15-day, it's a continuous part of your life. That manual is going to blow you away, but it's 15 days of building momentum and detoxing. And that's in the show notes. Body Temple is the name of the company. Kickstart's the program. So bodytemplelkickstart.com.
So they go to Body Temple. It was Body Temple Kickstart, bodytemplelkickstart.com. And then from there, they can join the Facebook group, the Facebook community.
Yeah, you'll actually be invited in the autoresponder, but you could actually right now, just if you want to jump into Facebook, search Body Temple Community, and you'll be approved. And
that's great stuff, Steve. This has been a really fun interview. We'll make sure we have those links in the show notes, make them real easy to find for people. And, you got a good vibe, my friend. You have a lot of experience in this and, the results, you can see them. So I really hope, this connected with some people and they take you up on those offers and watch that video and join your group and join your community. And again, this is all about helping people find their way. So for some people, yes, your community might be a game changer for them and you can only know by joining. So make sure you go to bodytemplelkickstart.com, download that free guide and follow up with Steve, man. Thanks so much for joining me today, Steve.
Brother, I can't wait to send people to you. You have such immense knowledge and I feel your purity. You're the real deal. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, my friend. And I appreciate all you viewers. If you enjoy what you watch today, make sure you head on over to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review, subscribe over on the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/holistic nootropics. And for all things holistic nootropics, head on over to holisticnootropics.com. Until next time, everybody, peace.
Thanks for listening. For more brain-boosting info, in-depth articles, and show notes, check out holisticnootropics.com.